or salary negotiations? I know that this is something that many individuals that are leaders really do worry about and struggle with. And in this video, I want to know from you, which one do you think is harder? Interviews or salary negotiations? Which one would you rather do? Or which one would you not rather do? Let me know in the comments below, because this is going to be a great opportunity for us to have a dialogue, a discussion about it, and talk about why is it so hard. So let me know, interviews or salary negotiations, which was harder and why? Let me know. If you're watching this portion of the video, you are more than likely watching the replay. Therefore, give me just a few moments. I appreciate you being here with me today. Typically on YouTube, there's a point in time during the lives, which is the live recording, that people will start to join the conversation. And we had an interruption a few moments ago with my audio, so I'm sorry about that. Now I'm back. But give me just a few moments to say hello to everyone and greet them. And then we're going to go into just a very candid discussion. It's Friday night. I have time to help you all learn from my over 20 years of expertise as a C-suite executive, a director, and a manager, a public speaker, and an executive coach that will help you to really fast track your career and help you to stand out from everybody else as a leader. I will help you in terms of why you may be struggling with interviews or salary negotiations, depending on what's going on with you specifically. So let me know in the comments below. Which one's harder? Which one do you think is harder? I will share with you, excuse me, just one moment, my eye is itching. I will share with you that many of the clients I work with in a one-on-one setting are women in leadership. Now, these are the people, the individuals that I support directly in terms of client services. But on my YouTube channel, I have a mixture of not only women in leadership, but I have men in leadership as well. So I appreciate every one of you, whether you're a man or a woman, being present on the channel today and being able to be supportive and learning about how to communicate at a higher level than your peers. I know if you're watching this content right now, you are trying to go to that next level. And my role here is to make you stand out from everybody else so that you not only are the candidate of choice, but you're getting the salary that you are looking for. So let me know in the comments below. As I was saying, many of the women that are in my audience, they tend to struggle with both salary negotiations and also with interviews. People really do tend to struggle quite a bit. And so what happens oftentimes is that both of them seem very hard, but there's usually one that's harder than the others. So I want to say hello to Leon Kennedy. Hello, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Please let me know where you are joining from in this big, beautiful world today. I'm looking forward to talking to you. And I want to know from you, which one do you think is harder? Interviews or salary negotiations? And why? Which one? Let me know in the comments below, because interviews and salary negotiations are both hard, but I want to know from you, which one do you think is the hardest and why? Why? Which one? Let's have a great discussion today. Let's really help some individuals that may be struggling with their salary negotiations or perhaps are struggling with their interviews to help them get to that next level. So I apologize in advance. My voice is normally not like this. I have been getting over a cold for a while. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know my voice is usually a little bit different. So just bear with me. We have Rui JHEXXXXX. Okay, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Free Shalib, hi, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Welcome back, Free. So let me know in the comments below, which one do you think is harder? Interview preparation or salary negotiation? Which one do you think is harder and why? Let me know why. And also let me know where you're joining from in the big, beautiful world today. Now, as I'm waiting for responses to let me know which one you think is harder for you to do, I want to talk to you a little bit about why interviews are hard. And then we're going to talk a little bit about salary negotiations and why they're hard. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. I'm actually going to put this as a question. Let me do this really quickly. Give me just a moment. I am typing. Hold on just a moment. I'm typing the question. Hang in there with me. Okay, so let's see if it'll come up. I know it blocks my face for just a moment. Let me see if I can move it. For some reason, on the Q&A for YouTube, it just puts it on top of my face. I don't understand why, friends, it does that. But, oh, it moved it up. Okay, well, great. At least I can have it up there, not in the middle of my face. If you're watching the replay, you probably don't see what happens. But if you're watching the live, you know exactly what's going on. Typically, the question is right here in my face. It's right there. But now the question is up here. So I'm going to leave this on there for a little bit. I may actually scoot myself back. Is that going to help? Somewhat? Yes, a little bit. Okay. All right, so free Schlepp. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, let me know, friend. Joining from Sweden. Well, welcome, welcome. Glad you are here with us today. Leo, just Leo Edits. Hello, welcome, welcome, friend. How you doing today? Let me know where you all are joining from in the big, beautiful world today. And make sure you answer the question up here. Which is harder, interviews or salary negotiations? I want to know from you, which one do you think is harder to do? I want to know. I'm trying to move this up some more if it'll let me. Not quite. Well, that's okay. We'll work with it right there for the time being. So as I mentioned, a lot of my clients say that interviewing and salary negotiations are hard. But I would say the one topic that people really tend to struggle with is salary negotiations. That is what I have found that tends to be really hard. But for those of you who are joining, I want to know from you, which one do you think is harder? Interviews or salary negotiation? Put it in the comments below so we can start voting and seeing what you all think. Steve Leto, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Let me know where you are joining from today, friend. Glad that you're here spending a few moments learning about interviews and salary negotiations. As I mentioned, many of the clients I work with, the women leadership that I work with, they do say that salary negotiations are hard. So let's go backwards and see what in the world makes salary negotiations or interviews so incredibly difficult. I want to know from you too in the comments below, what do you think makes interviews and salary negotiations difficult? I want to know from you. What are your thoughts? Some of the challenges that my clients tell me and that I've learned and experienced as a C-suite and as a director over the past 20 years is that when it comes to interviews, many people just simply do not know what to say. They're not quite sure of what to say, how to say it, and etc. And so what happens is when they get into the interview setting, they become very overwhelmed, they become very nervous, and they're just worried about what am I supposed to say. One of the things I can share with you that will help you to alleviate that fear and worry of not knowing what to say is to do something that I share with my clients in a one-on-one setting, and that is to start developing your stories. So your stories are going to be the very wonderful or amazing accomplishments that you have been able to do in your specific role that are topics that you can discuss very readily and very freely in an interview. Because when you're in an interview, if you can take a few moments to figure out exactly, well, what is it specifically about this accomplishment that I did that really stands out that I can introduce as a major highlight in my career or the time that I had in a role, then you are eliminating the struggles that a lot of people have as it relates to preparing for interviews because you know there's something that you want to talk about and you already have a story that's associated with it. So this is a great strategy to do before you go into an interview. Take a few moments to think about maybe the top two accomplishments that you've done in your career that are noteworthy, that are really important, that will showcase how amazing you are to an employer, and make sure you talk about those consistently. Sometimes you may need to come up with different stories around those topics. So let's say if you were able to increase, let's say, production for a specific company, you might want to talk about overall you increase production for the company. You could also talk about specifically how did you increase production with the company. More specifically, I would say what processes, what workflows, what systems did you build up or did you establish? Maybe what procedures did you set out? You could also talk about your team as a whole. What did you do with your team to help them be able to have that great experience to help increase production? You could also talk about what did you do with your managers, your peers, or your senior leaders to help them help you be able to increase production. I hope that you can see how you can use just this one story you have, and turn it into a opportunity for you to talk more about yourself as it relates to how you can navigate the interviews when you're not quite sure of what you want to do or what you want to talk about specifically. This is something that a lot of people just simply do not take the time to do, because we have a hard time, especially as leaders, being able to put ourselves in a situation where we are thinking about our accomplishments. If you're watching my video right now or subscribe to my channel, I know that you are not the average leader that's out there. You are the leader that is trying to elevate themselves and go truly to that next level in your career and make a bigger impact, not only in your organizations, but more than likely you're trying to make an impact in the world. That's why you're here. That's the type of audience that I attract, because I want to do the same thing. So many times what happens is when we're in these roles, we're just used to just go, go, go. Whether you're a man in leadership, a woman in leadership, you're just used to going, 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 going. And we do not take that time to reflect on ourselves to see exactly what it is that we have done that we can talk about a little bit more in detail when you go into an interview. So this is one of the reasons why interviews are really hard. And I understand it. I've seen it. I've seen people freeze, and more than most of the time, when people freeze in interviews or they struggle in interviews, it has to do with the fact that the interviews themselves are not hard. It's just they don't know what to say. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Steve Leto says, what do I have to crown? I'm not quite sure, Steve, what you're referring to, but let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. So now that we've had this question up for a while, I'm going to go ahead and take this down so it's not on top of my head, but at least I was able to move the question this time. Usually, when I'm doing a poll on YouTube, the question is, as I mentioned, it's just right here. Like it's in the middle of my face. I don't know why. So I'm working with them on that. Many of you know I'm on the YouTube live stream and research panel. So just giving feedback so they can make things a little different, and appreciate your feedback in terms of your live experience. Let me know what you like about the lives so that I can get the information to YouTube and just make the live streaming experience fun for everybody. Now, we talked about interviews, why interviews are hard. So let's talk about salary negotiations. Are you ready? Let me know. As I mentioned earlier, for those of you who are joining, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. What's harder? Which one is harder? Interviews or salary negotiations, and why? Why is it hard? Let me know in the comments below. If you're watching the replay or if you're watching this live right now, let me know. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. I shared with you what most of my clients say, but I want to know from you, what do you think? Now let's go into salary negotiations. Why are salary negotiations hard? Salary negotiations are very, very hard because we do not know what to say or how to say it or how to even figure it out. Now, this is very similar to the interview preparation, but for salary negotiations, there's a different level to it that makes it even more complicated. So, in salary negotiations, many of my clients say they don't know what to do, they don't know what to say or even how to say it. But there's another level to salary negotiations that a lot of times people do not focus in on. And as individuals, people in general are a bit timid sometimes about money. Not everybody, but there's quite a few leaders that I've worked with that are women, that are men, that are a bit shy about what should I ask as it relates to salary. Sometimes they may be in a position where they really need this position. And so financially, they don't want to necessarily say something that's going to be too high, but they don't want to say something that's going to be too low either. Now, why is this a challenge? Why is this specifically a challenge as a leader? Because if you have already one challenge in terms of what do you say in a salary negotiation, and you have this mindset in the back of your mind that says, I don't know if I want to ask for that. Is that too much? Is it too much? Then you're pretty much putting yourself in a very, very, very not favorable position, because you have two barriers that are already working against you, and you haven't even opened your mouth to even say what specifically you're looking for as it relates to salary. How can you get over this? This is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to share with you a strategy on this. Now, before I even go into this strategy, I do want to say that this is these are overview. These are good strategies for you to start working on. I do want to go ahead and also mention to you as well that I have several videos that are here on my live tab that talk about salary negotiation. I have several videos here on my live tab that talk about interviews. I have a couple recorded videos that talk about interviews. I have a couple of my recorded videos that talk about salary negotiations. There's one that says salary negotiations like a boss. So take a look at them. I have a lot of great resources out here for you that will go into a bit more detail, but today is just an overview to give you some insight in terms of how you can improve yourself. You're welcome to check out two master classes I have. One is on interview preparation specifically, and one is on salary negotiation specifically. They go into even more detail. Those master classes are listed on my website at www.exciteexcellence.org under products and services. You're welcome to check those out too. So before I go into the strategy to help you with salary negotiation, let's say hello to Moses. LOL. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Moses LOL says, yes, sir. Let's get it in, Queen. Tell him. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Moses. LOL, and the emojis too. So yes, this is a really serious topic, and people, I want to know from you all that are watching, which one is harder, salary negotiations or interviews, and why? Why do you think one's harder than the other? Let me know in the comments below. So what's the strategy you can do for salary negotiation? First of all, you can definitely check out my videos here on YouTube. That's a free resource that is there available for you to start working on your salary negotiations, and check out my masterclass on my website. Now, the strategy I would recommend just to say for our live, for the purposes of the live today, is that the most important one that I see people really struggle with, and I know this is not on my video. This is not on my videos from what I remember, because it's been a while since I've recorded it. But this is something I want to share with you all because I want you to do really well. Is that you have to be prepared to talk about money all of the time. All the time. And this is something you may not see on YouTube. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. They'll talk about the actual logistics of it, the specifics. How do you calculate your money? What do you need? I have a couple of videos in my salary negotiation video here on YouTube that specifically talks about going into more numbers. But the one struggle, and this is from over 20 years of expertise, friends. So I really want you to grasp this and use, and please take advantage of the knowledge I'm sharing with you, because this is from the past 20 years as a C-suite, as a director, and as a manager. People are not ready to talk about money even in an interview. And this is one of the main reasons why people become very, very frustrated and very, very stuck in their careers, is because they're not able to articulate themselves and negotiate a higher salary. Why is this? Because people go into a interview and they try to compartmentalize interviews and salary. They're two different things. But I encourage my clients in a one-on-one setting that if you're at the point where you're going into the interview, you should be ready to talk about your salary that same day when you have your interview. I can't tell you how many times I've done interviews, and literally leaders at by this time in my career, I've done hundreds of interviews, literally hundreds of interviews at this point. And when I ask questions about salary, what salary are you looking for in an interview? Majority of the time, and I mean majority, and my majority is going to be, I'm going to give you a number. You may think, you're right, there's no way. 90%. 90% of the time, when I ask people, what are you looking for in terms of your salary? They do not know immediately on the spot. And that's sad, because our salaries help us to take care of our families. It helps us to take care of our bills. It helps us to fund our business if you're starting a business while you're working full time. It helps us to do so many things. And we do need money, but it's amazing to me that majority of people are not ready to talk about money on the spot. The responses that I receive are, oh, I don't know. I didn't come prepared to talk about that. Or I'm not sure. What do you think? Or the other response I receive or have received in the past has been, "Mm, I don't know. I really don't know." And if you say, I don't know, I'm letting you know, I know that your hiring manager is going to make sure they give you the lowest salary that they can, unless they are an amazing hiring manager like myself. And I would always advocate to get my individuals that I was working for the most money that I could. And I would try to always get them more money than what they even asked for. And that is for me personally, that's what I did consistently in the roles that I've been in. Because I believe people need to get paid what they are worth or as much as I can do on my end. Ultimately, you will never be paid what you're worth. And if you're working for someone, I know this is a little bit different than salary negotiations, but I have to put that out there. If you're really trying to make additional money, then you might want to think about opening your own business. I'm just giving that to you in my very, very humble opinion because I want y'all to do well. But nonetheless, if you're still working that job, it's okay because you're still going to learn a lot of information and get yourself to that level. So be prepared to talk about money all of the time. When you go into your next interview, you need to be prepared to talk about your salary. And so the process that I mentioned in terms of helping you do better with interviews or making them not as stressful in terms of coming up with your stories. So you want to take a few moments to look at your numbers. I talk about this in a lot more detail in the Negotiate Your Salary Like a Boss video that is on my YouTube channel. It is a recorded video on my YouTube channel, not a live, but I talk a bit more in detail about that and then a lot more in detail on the salary negotiation masterclass that is listed on my website, as I told you before, in the products and services. Now, having some numbers in mind is going to help you be a bit more organized so that you know what number you want to say immediately. Now, I'll give you a bonus as it relates to salary negotiation, and I'll give you something else that many people don't do as it relates to salary negotiations and interviews that can actually help you if you're struggling with either one of these topics. So, for bonuses for salary negotiation, what I would share with you today in this video is that outside of being prepared to talk about numbers in your salary at all times, even in your interview, even in your phone screen. Don't take those two opportunities for granted. You still need to be able to talk about money. You have to talk about your money. Make sure that you don't box yourself in to a salary that you do not want or are not looking for. What happens oftentimes is when people are in salary negotiations, which is why many of my clients say salary negotiations are harder, but I want to know from you too, what are your thoughts? Is that they go in and they say, well, the hiring manager will say, well, what are you looking for in terms of a salary? That is a question that you're going to be asked, regardless of what role you're in. When they say that, many times what happens is they just don't know what to say. They're not sure what to say, how to say it. And they will ask the hiring manager, well, what are you offering? And so that puts the control back in the hiring manager to say, oh, we're offering $100,000 and you are looking for $150,000, or you're looking for $130,000, or you're looking for $200,000. Just depends on your role you're in. And so you put yourself in the salary box. I'm gonna draw a little box here. This is the salary box. And once you are in that salary box, you are stuck in that box. You're not getting out the box for a very long time unless you transition to a newer role, which is the reason why you really want to take some time to figure out specifically what it is that you want to have as your salary. So that's my bonus. Know your numbers. Be able to talk about salary all the time, but you have to know your numbers in order to do that. My other bonus I want to share with you as it relates to both of these topics is something that many people struggle with. And I see this often, especially on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn. I see these posts. I saw a post today where unfortunately there is a person that has been going on interviews and she just said in her post, she's like, I cry every day. And I thought that was one of the saddest posts I think I've ever heard. And oftentimes what happens is people will go in interviews and they'll just go on interviews, go on interviews, go on interviews, go on interviews. And 50, 60 interviews later, they're frustrated and rightfully so because they have not secured an employment opportunity and they don't know why and they're not sure what they're doing wrong and etc. And so that's what when most of the time people come to me for some support. And I want to encourage you, and this is a bonus, this is something for you to consider. If you are struggling with your interviews, maybe you've interviewed and you're a woman in leadership, you've interviewed for multiple roles and you're just over it. You're just over it. You have not secured an employment opportunity, or perhaps you've went to a salary negotiation and know that you completely lowballed yourself and your salary is not where you want to be. then reach out to me for a strategy session in the description below. I'd be happy to have a brief call with you to talk about where you are and where you want to be and how we can work together to help you bridge that gap if it's a right fit. But I do want to say that you want to reach out for help. And oftentimes people, when they are in those type of settings, especially as it relates to interviewing and preparing for salary negotiations, they really do struggle, excuse me, with this. And I believe many people overestimate how much investing in yourself can change your life if you make the right investment. So, specifically, if you're struggling with interviews and you've been on 50 interviews and you have not received a job opportunity yet, find a way to get some help. Get some help from somebody. You're welcome to reach out to me. But it comes to a point in time where you just can't do it by yourself anymore. And I see a lot of leaders really struggle with this. I see a lot of women in leadership specifically struggle with this, where we all feel like we've done these things. Right? We've went to school, we've graduated. Maybe you have a bachelor's, maybe you have an associate's, maybe you have a master's or another master's or a PhD or Juris Doctorate or doctor, some other doctor degree, medical doctor, maybe a doctor of dental surgery like myself. You have or doctor of education. You have these terminal degrees, and you feel like I've done it. I've done it all. I don't need help. But there comes a point in time where you have to get help. If you want your situation to change, it will not change until you're at the point where you're ready to invest in yourself. So I say this because I see this as one of the major barriers that I see people encounter when they are struggling with salary negotiations, when they're struggling with their interviews, because they simply are not at the point where they want to invest in themselves and they just want to keep on the hamster wheel, right? Keep on the hamster wheel, going to interviews, getting denied, going to interviews, getting denied. And after a while, I mean, the hamster gets tired, right? The hamster gets tired and you do too. So you just want to make sure you're investing in yourself, even if it's something on a smaller scale, whatever it is that you can be able to navigate. But don't do it alone, please don't, because if you work with somebody that has been in a situation where they have already been there, they've done interviews or they've been the actual interviewer, if you just have a few moments of their time, it will automatically probably skyrocket you to that next opportunity, or the opportunity is going to be the right fit for you. What I tell my clients in a one-on-one setting that I support when it relates to interviews, I'm not only helping them specifically with interviewing, but I'm helping them to become better communicators, because if they can communicate and articulate their value in interviews, they can use those same strategies to help them be able to articulate, communicate their values in their roles, in their businesses, when they're speaking to other organizations or when they're trying to engage with other people and etc. This is what's really, really important. So you have to invest in yourself. If you're in this hamster wheel where you're not at the point where you're securing any interviews, or you're really, really frustrated with the salary negotiation process, just get some help. Just contact somebody. If you don't contact me, that's fine. But you need to invest in yourself. If you want to do better and want to do better a little bit faster, that's where you have to invest in yourself. All right. So I want to say hello, Jeffrey Ellis. Welcome, 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 friend. How you doing today? And let me know where you're joining from in this big, beautiful world today. Today, we are talking about which one is harder, interviews or salary negotiations, and why. I mentioned earlier that many of my clients say salary negotiations is harder, but I want to know from all of you what your thoughts are. So if you're just now joining the live, I appreciate you being here today. We've talked about a couple of strategies. We've discussed why interviews are hard, why salary negotiations are hard. I've given you a few strategies for you to consider as it relates to what you can do to not make these as hard. And I have a great grasp of how these strategies will absolutely help you. I see people struggle with this all of the time. And I've done hundreds of interviews, I've done hundreds of salary negotiations, and I'm sharing with you the consistent challenges that I see people make. And I want to know if you've made those challenges or made those mistakes also, because we all have at some point in our career. So I want to make sure you avoid it. Now, for me personally, I have made mistakes on salary negotiations. When I first started out in my career, for those of you who have not maybe just met me or don't know me, when I started out in my career many, many years ago, as soon as I graduated from my bachelor's degree, I was at a place where I was interviewing for a job in a DNA sequencing laboratory. Many of you know or may not know, I did not plan on to be in the career that I was in where I'm at right now. I was trying to be a forensic DNA analyst and work for the FBI. So I interviewed for a DNA sequencing lab, trying to work my way up that ladder in terms of where I want to be. And what happened is when I went to a salary negotiation and an interview, I was in the interview and I gave you, I just shared with you why people make this mistake. I made these mistakes, so I don't want you to do it. So when I went to the interview, I was not prepared to talk about money, number one. And then number two, what exactly it is that I said when I was asked what the salary was for the position. They just told me a salary and I just took the salary. That was not okay. So, anyways, it was very, 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 very difficult. It's a painful lesson that I learned, and I absolutely don't want you all to make the same mistake. So that's why salary negotiation is very important. But before I finish up here, let me see what's going on in the chat. Okay, we have IXO Multic. Welcome back, friend. How you doing today? IXO Multic says, hello, have a great weekend. Like for IXO Multic says, even though I don't understand everything you say, I like seeing you. Well, welcome, friend. Glad you're here. Appreciate you being here as always. IXO Multic has a lot of wealth of knowledge, talks a lot about different poetic terms and languages and a lot of wonderful things that have been very, very helpful to the channel and very insightful in the channel, by the way. So IXO Multic, I appreciate you being here, appreciate you being a subscriber, and appreciate you being here and showing support as always. And if there's anything that you have any questions about, you're always welcome to just reach out to me, put a comment like you normally do, and let me know. If you have any topics that you want to know more about, let me know in the comments below. I have one topic from yesterday's live from the forensic accountant, which he always comes up with some really good topics, by the way. He mentioned a topic about basically we're going to be talking about how you have to be very mindful of what you say on social media in different roles, and this is something that people struggle with. We are in the world where social media people get on their phone, start typing really quickly, or they're on the laptop, start typing really quickly, and they want to say the first thing that comes out. So we're going to talk about how you can start to control that a bit, especially when you are working for organizations or companies. Because personally, I've seen so many people terminated and fired by what they did on social media or what they said. I have seen it firsthand, friends. It will happen. So you have to just be mindful. And he talked about obviously not, you need to say, if you have something to say, you need to say it under an anonymous account or something like that. But that's definitely a video topic that I'm going to talk about. But I want to know if you all have any topics specifically that I can share with you to help you on your journey as it relates to being that person that communicates at a higher level that really, really, really stands out from everybody else. I want you to be the person that everyone inspires to be like. That is what communication can do for you. I say on my channel, and I say this often, people become great by how they communicate. So my role here, my mission here on this earth is to unlock the greatness within you. And that is by showing you how to communicate at a higher level in those very complicated pressure situations in terms of what it is specifically that you can actually say. So I appreciate you all for being here today and being patient with me. I'm sorry that my audio went out earlier during the live. I know some of you rejoined back. Some of you were not able to rejoin back. So I'll make sure that this live is available for all of you. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. And I hope you all have an amazing, fantastic weekend. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. If you like this content, of course, feel free to share it with a friend or a colleague or a loved one that you know that is trying to really do a lot of amazing things, and maybe they're just trying to fine tune their message and how they're communicating. Feel free to share my information to them. You're also welcome to subscribe to the channel, of course. If you like this content, you enjoyed our dialogue today that we had about which is harder, I'm probably going to do these type of videos on Fridays when I have more time to spend with y'all and just talk about which one's harder. Which one do you think is harder? And if you have any questions, let me know. You need some support, you're really tired of being at this place in your career, then reach out to me for a strategy session in the link below, because that is where we can spend some time with each other, have a very brief call with you to support you on your journey. So looking forward to seeing you all next week. I go live Tuesday through Friday, depending on everything goes well. And if anything happens and I'm not here live with you all Tuesday through Friday, then you know that something happened. I couldn't make it. And I normally wouldn't do that. But I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.